Hey everyone, in part 2 I talked about normal wooden blocks, but in part 3 I'll be talking about each type of paint. So there's a ton of different paints. If you wanted to build something that it can never be destroyed, like let's say I was building a cannon and just load it up with bombs. If you made it all out of wood, then when it blows up, then it just falls apart. Here, let me show you. So this is a normal, just a wooden cannon. So then the cannon blows up, and if you wanted to make it not blow up, then immobile blocks, they never move, nothing can destroy them, nothing can go through them. They're just solid. So this is what would happen with immobile. So you can also use immobile blocks to build up in the sky. Then you can put a normal block up there and paint it immobile, and it's just like a ground. You can build whatever you want on it and it won't fall out of the sky. No matter what you do, no matter what you throw at it, it won't move. So you can also use immobile blocks to build like anything, like guardrails for a ball track or whatever. So, okay, now on to bombs. There's actually a lot of tips I have for bombs. A one by one bomb is obviously, it's going to be weaker than a bigger bomb. So let me show you some comparisons. Lifting the same weight, the same size of block, that one barely moves it at all, and 3x3 moves it a little bit. But the most powerful, if you wanted to build the biggest explosion you could get, is a lot of 1x1s. They're way more powerful than just a single big bomb. So that goes way up there. That was like 100 times higher than the 3x3x3 single bomb did. Another thing, if you were building like a fuse like that, where you imagine it to, you shoot one at the end and then they all explode like a fuse and then blow up something at the end. Well, it doesn't work like that, because when you shoot one, it has a range of about 5 units, I think, and it'll blow up those 5 next ones all at the same time, and then all those 5 will blow up, and then the next 5 will blow up. So if you wanted to build like a good fuse that didn't just totally explode all over the place, then you want to separate them about 5 units apart, and that should be the right amount, where they blow up one at a time. So you can experiment with different sizes. They probably have different ranges too. One thing, if you had a long bomb like this, or any big bomb, and you shoot it and it blows up like normal, but if you notice, the explosion was only here. It only happens in the middle. So a block here, if you shoot this, it doesn't affect it, because only stuff nearby the middle of this will be affected. So I mean, if there's an explosion near the bomb in the middle, it will set it off. And if there was blocks, I'm just going to put some blocks over here. Okay, now I'm going to shoot the bomb and see how the explosion compares. So those all went flying really far, and the ones at the end got less force. One more thing about bombs. If you have a wedge-shaped bomb, triangular bomb, then when it explodes, all the force comes straight out of the hypotenuse. So it'll go straight out at a 45-degree angle. So right here, if I move this back and shoot the bomb, none of these will be affected, because the force went straight out this way and went right over this wall, and no force came out the bottom or on this back side. So if I scoot this closer, The force should hit about here, and these should all go flying, but then these should just like stay here, probably. Yeah, so you can use that. I think since all the forces coming out of the same spot, it's really powerful, so you can use that to your advantage. Okay, for Vanish Blocks, they explode when you shoot them, or if there's an explosion nearby. They just vanish, they pop. And same thing as bomb blocks. A long or any other big block won't be affected by stuff unless it's near the center. So that's all I have for Vanish Blocks. Okay, for chemical blocks, they're just essentially bombs. They have, I think, about the same force. I haven't really tested it, but here, I'll just test it right now for you. Okay, so here is a 3x3 area of chemical blocks and a 3x3 area of bomb blocks. Okay, since these are touching, they're going to explode right when it starts, but you'll be able to see how high it goes. Okay, so it went about that high. Now I'll see the bombs. Okay, they go about the same height, so they're about the same power as a bomb block. And in case you didn't already know, the way they work is they ignite if two chemical blocks touch. If they touch each other, then they blow up. Otherwise, they just do nothing. They're just like a normal wooden block. And you can shoot them and they won't blow up. But if two come into contact with each other, then they will blow up. Okay, for virus blocks, what happens, just like the chemical blocks, they do nothing unless two come into contact with each other. And what happens then is they explode, or they don't really make any force, so nearby blocks don't get pushed back or anything. But what happens is when they collide, they disappear like a Vanish block, and nearby blocks will be infected and they will also turn into virus blocks. So they can create chain reactions. So like if you had a tower and two virus blocks hit, then all the other nearby blocks turn into virus blocks, and then they blow up, and then everything just gets destroyed. If you had a 1x1, or if you had two 1x1s, and they are touching, then their range isn't that far. See, it has to be like right next to it. But if they were bigger, then it should have a bigger range. Yeah. There's nothing really about gem blocks. They have the same properties as a wooden block. They're just used for levels with rules and scoring systems. So with no rules, they're just like a colorful wooden block. For fireworks, when you shoot them or when there's a nearby explosion, they will shoot in the direction that the picture is pointing. So, and the distance they fly is determined by the weight of the block and other forces acting on it. Like in zero gravity, they will fly really far before blowing up. So I'm going to do a range test. Let me see. 1x1s. They are 9 units apart. And they blow up. 10 units apart. Nothing. So 9 is the limit for a 1x1. And bigger ones might have a bigger range, but I'm not sure. Yeah, bigger ones have a bigger range, I think. No, maybe just the center of it just moved closer, so anyways, you get the idea. Vapor blocks, they will not blow up when there is a nearby explosion. The only way for them to be activated is if you shoot them, or if an animal throws a baseball and it hits it. And they just disappear, and what they do is nearby blocks will also just be vaporized. And the bigger the size of the vapor block, the bigger the range. Okay, multi-hit Vanish blocks. They're just like these normal Vanish blocks, but it takes 3 hits for them to be destroyed. same stuff applies as the normal Vanish Blocks. Fragile blocks, they're also just like Vanish Blocks. One explosion will destroy them, but when they come into contact with the ground, they just blow up. Even if they start on the ground and you play the level, they'll just blow up immediately. So, yeah.